Rachel had always been careful with men. While her friends chased tall boys with silver chains and fake British accents, she clung to her books and her church scarf. She always said her first kiss would be with her husband. So when Rachel said she was seeing someone new, Emily didn't panic. Not at first. His name was Kennedy, and he looked like a dream. Soft voice, clean nails, always smelling like rain. Rachel said they hadn't done anything serious, just long walks and late-night prayers on the phone. Emily teased her. "You sure you're not being scammed by a church boy?" Rachel laughed. But the night she slept with him, everything changed. She came home silent. No tears. No stories. Just silence. Then the bleeding started. Rachel collapsed on the bathroom floor. When the doctors examined her, they said something no one in the family could understand. Her vocal cords were fine, but she wouldn't speak. Her womb, they said, looked like someone had scratched it from the inside. They asked if she had used any objects. She hadn't. Emily sat by her sister's bedside every night, whispering, praying. But Rachel just stared at the ceiling, eyes wide, as if something was still watching her. Emily wasn't the type to believe in demons, but she believed in pain. She believed her sister, who now flinched at the sight of her own reflection. Rachel's phone had one name that stood out: Kennedy. Emily remembered him vaguely, the boy with the calm eyes and crooked smile. She decided to find him. The first time she saw Kennedy again was outside a pharmacy. He looked harmless, holding a bottle of water and wearing a soft grey hoodie. Emily walked up to him. "You did something to my sister." He tilted his head. "Who's your sister?" "Rachel. She's mute. After spending one night with you, she bled for 3 days." He blinked slowly. "That wasn't me." He said, "They always come to me broken." Emily stepped back. "What are you?" Kennedy smiled. "You don't want to know." As he walked past her, she glanced down. His trousers shifted strangely. There was no bulge. Not like a man. What? She saw looked twisted. Like a blackened root, pulsing, with tiny mouths opening and closing along its surface. One of them hissed. Another whimpered like a baby. Emily nearly screamed. That night, the nightmares began. Rachel screaming in a red room. A shadowy figure, standing over her, whispering in a language that made Emily's ears bleed. In the dream, Emily pulled the blanket back and saw dozens of mouths crawling around Rachel's belly. The next morning, another girl went missing. Jessica, Rachel's coursemate. Then another. And another. The police blamed campus cultists. But Emily knew. She found a girl named Grace, one of the survivors. Grace confessed that after one night with Kennedy, she started bleeding too. But she never told anyone. She just prayed. Emily gathered names. 5 girls in total. All either sick, silent, or missing. She started following Kennedy. He moved like a shadow, always alone, always calm. One night, he entered a small motel on the edge of town. Emily waited until he left, then bribed the front desk. Room 7. She crept inside. What she saw made her knees buckle. On the wall were photos of all the girls: Rachel, Jessica, Grace, and 2 others. Their eyes were scratched out. Beside the photos were drawings, wombs covered in mouths, a root-like organ slithering into shadowy figures. Then she heard the floor creak. She turned. Kennedy stood there, eyes glowing faintly. "I told you not to follow me." Emily bolted. She didn't look back, not even when she heard the sound of something wet slithering behind her, breathing her name. Emily barely slept for days. The whispers in her dreams grew louder. Rachel, still mute, began scratching her walls at night. Not words, just spirals and claw-like shapes. One evening, Emily heard Rachel humming in her sleep, a melody they had never sung before. When she played it back to a local elder, the woman's face drained. "That song is older than this land," she whispered. "It's a song mothers used to sing to keep demons away." Emily started seeing Kennedy everywhere, reflected in mirrors, standing at street corners, or sitting quietly behind crowds. But when she'd blink, he'd vanish. One night, she walked past her window and saw him standing across the street, just watching. She didn't scream. She didn't cry. She simply locked the door, turned off the light, and prayed that whatever was feeding off them would lose interest. But Kennedy wasn't watching for fun. He was hunting. Girls began losing their voices. Not just Rachel now. 3 others. One girl tried to hang herself and failed. She woke up and drew something horrifying. A tree with human mouths hanging from it like fruit. Emily knew this wasn't random anymore. It was a pattern. A plague. She returned to Grace, the only survivor still coherent, and begged her to speak. Grace confessed everything. "When we were together," she said, eyes trembling, "I felt something inside me. Not like a man. Like 1,000 whispers. Something crawled into me and laughed." Grace pulled up her shirt and showed Emily her stomach. Faint scars in the shape of a root spread around her navel. "I tried cutting it out," she whispered, "but it grows back." Emily cried that night. She was losing her sister, her sanity, and her city. She went to a local herbalist, Nana Grace, an old woman who didn't flinch when Emily described the root, the mouths, the womb scars. "He's not a man," Nana Grace said. "He's a vessel, a carrier of something ancient, something hungry." Nana gave Emily a pouch of ashes and herbs. "Sprinkle this where he walks. It won't stop him, but it'll reveal him." Emily did. The next day, she scattered the powder outside Kennedy's motel door. When he stepped out, the ground hissed beneath his feet. His shadow didn't match his body. It had tentacles, and it smiled. That night, Emily received a video from an unknown number. It showed Rachel asleep. Then suddenly, Rachel sat up and looked straight at the camera. Her mouth didn't move, but Emily heard her voice clearly. "He's inside me." Emily rushed home. Rachel was shaking, her mouth bleeding, her eyes wide. She had scratched words into the wall. "He is already born." Emily screamed for help. Doctors came. Priests came. No one could understand. Then came the bleeding again. Not from Rachel's womb, but from her eyes and ears. Nana Grace returned with the spiritual team. They burned sage, chanted, and poured sacred water across the house. Rachel finally stopped convulsing. But she didn't wake. She just whispered again and again, "I saw the mouths. I saw the mouths. I saw the mouths." Meanwhile, Kennedy had vanished. Vanished from the motel, from the city. But his absence made things worse. Girls continued to fall sick. One girl woke up with bite marks between her legs. Another was found muttering under a tree, belly swollen like she was 6 months pregnant, but no baby inside. Emily decided to return to the room. She went back to room 7 alone. The door was cracked open. Inside, she found something worse than before. A journal. Kennedy's. Inside were notes. Names, drawings, rituals. One entry read, "She's strong." The silent one, "I think she's the vessel." Another said, "When the mouths open, I will walk in flesh again." Emily slammed the book shut and ran. But deep down, she already knew what it meant. Kennedy wasn't done. He was preparing for something. And Rachel wasn't just a victim. She was the chosen one. Emily couldn't sleep. The pages from Kennedy's journal haunted her. She read them over and over. One entry in particular wouldn't leave her mind. Once she stops resisting, the mouths will open. And from her, I will be born clean. That same night, Rachel began humming again, not the soft lullaby from before, but a low, guttural tune that vibrated through the walls. Emily stood outside her door and wept. Her sister was slipping further away. Nana Grace returned with more supplies. Black salt, red thread, a jar of crushed bones she called mouth powder. He's not just trying to use her, he said. He's trying to rebirth through her. Emily didn't understand. You mean like a baby? No, Nana whispered. Something worse. Something older. They tied Rachel's room with red thread. Lit candles at every corner. Rachel screamed for hours. Not with her voice, but through the walls. Like something inside her was angry at being sealed in. And then came the knocking. 3 soft knocks. At the front door. Emily opened it slowly. No one. Just footprints on the porch. Roots, moving roots. The girls who had survived before, Grace, Lisa, Jessica, began experiencing the same thing. Nightmares. Stomach pains. One even bled through her belly button. Kennedy had left something in all of them. Emily decided to confront the spirit directly. Nana Grace warned her, "You'll have to enter Rachel's dream. That's where it hides now." With the help of a seer named Isla, Emily drank a bitter tea that night and slept beside Rachel. She opened her eyes in darkness. Inside Rachel's mind, it was a long hallway filled with mirrors. Each mirror showed Rachel at different ages, smiling, crying, praying. Then the mirrors cracked. The hallway filled with whispers. And then she saw it. Him. Kennedy's form, but warped. His face stretched. His lower half pulsing with mouths and roots. "You came," he said, smiling with too many teeth. "She's almost ready. You should be proud." Emily ran. Through the mirrors, through the screams. She found Rachel in a room at the end, tied to a table of tongues. Emily tried to free her, but the floor opened and swallowed them both. Emily woke up, screaming, her hands covered in bite marks. Isla was pale. "He's accelerating," she said. "You have less time than we thought." That same day, a baby was found in a church with a note. "Bless him. He has no mother." The baby had no belly button, and his skin bore a faint mark, like a curled, smiling mouth. Emily returned to Mother Isla, carrying only one question. Can he be removed from her? The old woman stirred a bubbling pot as she listened. Spirits like this, they don't just possess. They merge. To remove him from Rachel now will cost more than herbs. Then tell me what it will take. Isla raised her hand and drew a circle in the air. You must perform the ritual of severing before he is fully reborn. Once the mouth opens, there is no going back. With Lisa, Grace, and Jessica, Emily laid Rachel on a mat in the living room. They tied the black string around her belly. The moment it touched her skin, Rachel screamed, and the walls of the house shook. From the kitchen, drops of blood began to form on the tiled wall, not dripping from above, just appearing. Then came the voice again, from Rachel's chest. You're too late. Outside, Emily buried the herbs and powder under the moonlight. Inside, Rachel went silent, but the silence felt worse than the screams. Meanwhile, more girls came forward. One said she had dreams of Kennedy every night. Another claimed she woke up with bite marks on her thighs. A third swore she saw something crawl out of her drain, whispering in his voice. Kennedy had become a ghost in the town, feared, avoided, yet still felt everywhere. Parents banned their daughters from going out. Churches were packed. But Emily knew the truth wasn't just spiritual. Something inside Rachel was growing, preparing, trying to escape, and she was the only one who might stop it. Rachel began bleeding again, but this time from her ears. The mark on her stomach, the one that used to pulse like a bruise, began to shift. It curled into a spiral. Nana Grace examined it and fell silent. It's a summoning mark. He's chosen her womb as the gate, she said. Emily collapsed to the floor. She had fought too hard for it to end like this. But Nana Grace wasn't giving up. There's one place left. The Forbidden's Door. That night, they journeyed deep into the forest to a hidden cave. The walls were etched with old markings, telling stories of other girls, other spirits, other wombs ruined. In the center was a wooden door, sealed shut with black string and nails. Behind this lies the source, Nana whispered. Not Kennedy, but the thing that made him. Emily entered alone. Inside, the air felt alive. Walls pulsed like muscle. She walked a red corridor filled with whispers. Then she saw it. A massive black body with no face, only mouths. In the center was an open womb, glowing. All the mouths whispered, "Give him form. Give him life." Emily felt pain tear through her belly. The mark was pulling her in. She screamed as her feet lifted from the ground, sucked toward the womb. A voice cut through the noise. Rachel's voice. "You are not a vessel. You are a sword." Emily snapped awake. With shaking hands, she pulled out the bone charm from Isla. A small blade. She slashed across the mark on her stomach. Blood poured. The glowing womb screamed. The creature convulsed. The mouths ate themselves. The corridor trembled. The walls cracked. Emily crawled toward the entrance. Behind her, the spirit wailed, not in rage, but in fear. It was dying. Nana Grace and the girls pulled Emily out. As the cave collapsed behind her, the door burned black. The mark faded. It was over. Rachel woke up crying for the first time. The other girls began to heal. Emily walked with a limp, but she smiled again. The town breathed. But peace didn't last. Days later, a baby was found near the riverbank. Alone, naked, with a twisted black mark on his chest. Nurses noticed odd things. Flies died near him. The priest fainted mid-prayer. Emily visited the hospital. When she stood at the glass, the baby opened his eyes and stared directly at her. Then he smiled. Emily stepped back, trembling. That stare, too knowing, too still, wasn't a newborn's. She saw the truth instantly. He had returned. Kennedy had been reborn, not as a man, but as a child. A vessel reset. They ran tests. Healthy. The doctors said, perfect. But Emily noticed the little things. Nurses avoided the crib. One baby next to him went silent forever. Emily begged to take the child. He's dangerous, she said. They laughed. It's just a baby. But 3 days later, the woman who found the child was found dead, eyes wide open, black ink mouths drawn on her belly. Emily went to the child with the last charm, a fang wrapped in red thread. As she stood over his crib, the baby smiled. The mark on his chest moved. One of the mouths whispered, "Do it." Emily stabbed the fang into the mark. A scream echoed. Not the baby's, but Kennedy's. The light went out. The baby vanished. Emily collapsed. Her legs never worked again. But Rachel recovered. The voices stopped. The wounds healed. For months, there was peace. Until one night, Emily woke up. Gasping, she heard it again. A baby crying far away. Then a whisper, "You delayed me. You didn't stop me." Then silence.